This session is all about Agritech startups. So I request Dr. Pathak to kindly share his perspective and the presentation. Yeah.
So good afternoon, everyone. And I really want to thank the organizers, first of all, ICRA and its founder, Mr. Rajkumar Sharma, for hosting this great event and getting us all here, different stakeholders in the startup ecosystem. And it helps my cause that Dr. Parshuraman has very emphatically spoken about the importance of agriculture and the innovation that is there in the field of agriculture and the potential that is there for all of us to tap. So I represent a very enabling stakeholder that is an agribusiness incubator. So what we are doing, I'm coming from the state of Chhattisgarh, and I'm the head and CEO of an agribusiness incubation center which is promoted and supported by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. So thank you, Parshuraman ji, for being the voice of agri startups in the startup ecosystem. Next one. So I'll be talking about how startups, entrepreneurship and innovation in the field of agriculture can lead to some kind of dramatic transformation that is there to be seen in Indian agricultural economy. So if you look at the startup landscape, how it is changing, so more than 500 million businesses are launched annually worldwide. So this is a huge number that is speaking about the entrepreneurship landscape that is happening in the world at the moment. Silicon Valley, of course, remains the hub of innovation, led by centers like London, Beijing, and Tel Aviv. And most of the innovations are taking place in the field of tech, healthcare, and of course, agri-tech is coming up very fast, fintech and edutech. And many of such innovators are displaying their innovations right over here. So if you see how the global innovation trend is moving, then you can think in terms of agri-tech, AI and ML. Many people are showcasing here different applications in the different sectors of the economy. Of course, blockchain, green technologies and sustainability is something that India is very conscious about, and a lot of innovation scope exists in that field. And of course, biotech and healthcare innovations. Next one. If I look at the global entrepreneurship landscape, next one, please. Previous one. So, if you talk about companies like Google, these are, modern day giants, that has come up and contributing significantly, just about no time, unleashing the power of technology into creating innovative products. Next one. All of you are familiar about, these aggregators, how they are, ride-hailing services in the form of Ola and Uber. Next one. Ola is again an Indian example of Indian version of the Uber. Next one. Similar models can be used in terms of aggregation for finding a lot of solutions to agri problems. And if I look at the startup and entrepreneurship landscape in India, so everybody is quite aware that India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and to be very exact, 123,900 startups are registered here in this country, and out of which a very small, minuscule, less than 2.5% consists of the agri-tech startups. So of course, the startups are also coming out as a big source of employment to a lot of people in terms of the opportunities that they create directly and indirectly. And what is heartening to note that many of the startups are women founders, almost like 45% of the total startup that we have. And another very heartening part is that most of the startups are based out of Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities like Raipur, Ranchi and Pune. Next one, please. So what are the key factors that are driving innovation and entrepreneurship in India? So of course, there is a diverse startup ecosystem, a lot of technological advancements. I was talking about AI and ML. Of course, youthful and entrepreneurship spirit that is there. The huge population from the age of 15 to 64 that is the productive demographics for a country is the highest in the world, anywhere here in this country. And of course, a rising investment climate in terms of access to funding has been happening. And my predecessor was talking about some of those funding avenues as well. Next one. And, going ahead with this, a lot of technical intervention is happening across spaces, and agriculture is also beginning to pick up in terms of these interventions. Though it is still left much to be desired, and there is a lot of scope for technological interventions into agriculture in particular to unleash some of the great problems that exists right from production to consumption in the whole agri value chain. Then of course social entrepreneurship, some disruptive innovations, digital transformation. India is leading the world. The whole world is quite baffled at the way the digital transformation is taking place in the country. And of course, fintech disruption, everybody is quite aware. Even in the G20 summit, the whole representatives were quite amazed to see the kind of UPI transactions that were taking place in India. And of course, we also have the health tech revolution about telemedicines and how India is a great power in terms of driving some of these health tech innovations. So what are the major government initiatives to support the startup ecosystem? There are many, but I have included only the prominent ones. In terms of the Startup India, which is a flagship program, started in November 2016. And you just imagine, in just about 7-8 years, we have gone on to become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. So although it appears a little bit dichotomous in the sense that India is basically an agricultural economy, yet in terms of innovation and startups, we have risen to become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And then Make in India is a huge push for driving innovation across sectors. Then of course Digital India, I've spoken about it. Next one. So the startup ecosystem stakeholders, all of you are quite aware about this, and I particularly want to mention about the role that incubators like us are playing in this domain, including the government and the legislature in terms of policy formulations. A lot of accelerators and incubators are coming up in the country in a very big way. We were talking about the investment session prior to this in a very innovative program, the Startup Dangal, that was trying to bring about an interface with the investors as well. Of course, the industry associations, organizations like the ICRA, that is bringing together all the stakeholders, and of course the startups as well. Next one. So if you look at the particular role the incubators and accelerators are playing in terms of the numbers that is coming up in the country, so there are more than 650 plus incubators, and there is a 40% year-on-year growth in the country at the moment as I speak. And as I was telling you, most of these incubators are based out of tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is a sign that speaks that there is a lot of talent in these, up till so far neglected cities, where our meritorious innovators reside, and they can offer a myriad range of solutions to the problems that this country is facing across sectors. And most of these startups, in fact, incubators, rather 2/3 are housed as new incubators. Angel investments is constantly on the rise, and of course, I have to admit, there still is a unicorn in agriculture that is to be seen. And 20% increase in the active investors has been seen in the recent years. Next one, please. So I'll talk about Chhattisgarh. What as I said, I represent Chhattisgarh state, which apparently is not so glamorous to talk about when you come to Delhi, in a place like Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand and Uttarakhand. But there is a lot of quiet revolution that is taking place in the country in terms of the innovation and the supporting environment that is picking up in that state. So we are ranked as aspiring leader category by the Startup India. Also face a huge issue in terms of the technical validation and product development of their the product or process innovations. So these are some of the core problems that the startups are facing, and we need to address them, segment by segment across sectors, if we want to push up the startup ecosystem in the country. Next one, please. So what is Chhattisgarh doing in terms of supporting and taking initiatives for the startups? It is creating, a gambit of policies and incentivization, including financial assistance, supporting incubation sectors across the sectors, as I was talking about, with support of mentorship, infrastructure and resources. And of course, there is a provision for startup funds also to assist the startups, especially in the ideation stage and also at the product market fit stage. Next one, please. So what are the offerings from incubators and accelerators? I can talk about, of course, typically, as is expected of an incubator, we do offer technical and business support, mentoring, co-working space, fab labs, of course, market linkages, government support, funding, and mentorship. So I will specifically talk about some of the opportunities that exist in the agriculture and the allied sector for the startups and the aspiring entrepreneurs that can have some kind of interface using their technology for finding solutions to problems in agriculture. Next one. Yes, for those of you who are not so well versed with the status of Indian agriculture, it is better to know that it is one of the strong pillars of the Indian economy, absolutely in terms of the GDP contribution, which is almost like 1/5. although it is diminishing as the overall macroeconomy is increasing, the contribution and share of the agricultural GDP is increasing. It does, as the size of the economy grows. Yes, next one. And the important sectors that are driving within the agriculture sector the growth is the crop production, small scale farming. We have this very typical scenario which I call 80-20, 20-80 syndrome in Indian agriculture, wherein 80% of the land is owned by less than 20% of the people, and more than 80% of the people thrive on less than 20% of the land. So never or ever before you will not find this situation anywhere in the world. In small countries in Europe or in US, the landholding size is so big that driving economies of scale, in terms of mechanization and other advanced crop technology is very easy for them, despite the number of people engaged is very less. So we have a very complex scenario as far as Indian agriculture is concerned. So these are some of the areas which are emerging as key trends for advancing Indian agriculture. Next one. Next. So if you look at what is happening in the agri startup and entrepreneurship space, so the Agritech startups are coming up in a very promising way, trying to find innovative solutions to some of the problems, as I said, that emerges right from the problem of production to the entire value chain of the crop sector. Then urban agriculture is coming up in a very innovative way. Sustainability in agriculture is emerging as a big issue. The impact of the climate, how it is impacting livelihoods, as I said, to the myriad communities that we have in our country. And of course, food waste reduction is a big problem. They're telling, different reports suggest that almost like 65,000 crores worth of rupees gets wasted every year because we don't have, post-harvest management technology or innovative technology to handle this produce. So startups, they can see a fertile area into finding solutions to some of these, very pressing challenges in the post-harvest management. And of course, they're using IT to support farmer support advisory services or the SaaS platforms. Next one. Emerging trends for entrepreneurship in and startups. Again, specifically if we talk about as the available resources for agricultural production is diminishing, so therefore we are talking about how to maximize the use of or optimize the use of water. Therefore, precision technology in agriculture, supply chain management. It was not long ago that we all faced the problem of COVID pandemic, and of course how the supply chains were disrupted. But it was only agriculture that reported a positive rate of growth other than all the other sectors of the economy. Sustainable agriculture I was talking about, and alternative farming methods, integrated farming methods, combining different sources of farming into creating overall income basket of the farmer. Next one. So there are many benefits for the startups, in terms of creating an enabling environment by the government, where the process, etc., is very simplified. Tax holidays, tax exemptions, the single window clearances, easy exit, and of course, creating a very favorable environment to support the launch of the innovative startups. Next one. These are some of the very specific initiatives taken by the Government of India to support the startups, right from the Startup India to seed funds to venture capital assistance scheme, raw material assistance scheme, and single point registration scheme, besides a host of other government schemes. Next one. Next one, please. Next. So I will talk a bit about this particular dedicated program that we are running in our center, the RKV Raftar Agribusiness Incubation Center program. Again, as I said, supported by the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. There are 29 agribusiness incubation centers under this scheme, and Raipur IGKV or RABI is like acronym for RKV Raftar Agribusiness Incubation Center, one such center out of the 29 centers throughout the country. Next one. We can have a snapshot of the images that shows all the agribusiness incubators under this program throughout the country. Next, the idea is to strengthen and nurture the early stage startups and seed stage or the product market startups in the startup ecosystem as far as agriculture and allied sector is concerned. Next one. Next one. So what is happening? This is a real graphic telling how innovators are trying to address problems into agriculture different sectors. So as I was telling you, the post-harvest is leading the way in terms of almost like the post-harvest, farm mechanization and supply chain are constituting 50% of the agri startups that are working into these sectors. Next one, of course, other sectors are also represented, but their percentage is quite less. So this is the real statistics. Next. So about my center, IGKV Rabi, which is supporting and nurturing agri startups with a vision to become, one of the better incubators in the country in terms of nurturing and strengthening the startup ecosystem. So we run two flagship programs: the pre-seed stage program, branded as the Abhinav, and the second one is the seed stage program, which is Udbhav, or the seed stage startup program, wherein in both the programs there is a provision for grant and support, respectively of 5 lakh rupees and 25 lakh rupees each to the startups. Next one. So these are some of the focus areas. We support our startups right from supply chain to AI and IoT to post harvest to organic farming to processing and value addition and so on. Next one. So typically we offer, besides the co-working space, the technical and business support to the startups who want to be part of this program. Next one. Some facilities, snapshot. Next one. So this is how we run this program. This is a national program, and anyone, I call upon the participants here also, if they have technical solutions to some of the problems that can be applied into the field of agriculture, to come and be a part of this particular national program. Next one. So this is what we have been able to achieve, as far as the impact of this particular center in Chhattisgarh, Raipur. So far, I have been able to incubate almost like 300 agri startups, and these numbers are among the highest in the country for this program. Out of which 236 have successfully graduated, and another 64 is in the pipeline on the ongoing cohort. And of course, more than 850 innovative products have been developed through this intervention. 101 startups have received funding of almost like 11 CR from our center, and I am happy to say that more than 60 women entrepreneurs are part of this agribusiness program in our center. Besides, many recognitions and awards, creating direct and indirect employment as a direct impact of this incubation center. Of course, investors are showing a lot of interest into their innovations, and more than 24 crores have been invested by a third party into these startups, and these startups are cumulatively generating a revenue in excess of 100 CR. Next one, please. I talked about women entrepreneurs under this program. So a fair degree of the participation is coming from women entrepreneurs, which is very, very heartening. Next one. These are two umbrella programs that I was talking about, the Abhinav and the Udbhav seed stage and the pre-seed stage program. Next one. So we are offering, grant in aid support of 5 lakh rupees for the ideation program, and up to 25 lakh rupees for the prototype or the product market fit stage. Next one. Some of the startup portfolio that I have incubated in my center successfully. Next one. Again, again the list of the startups. Next one. Next one. So I'll share some success stories with you. Next one. From this. This is Fresher, Zoo Fresh, and they are perhaps the only B2B e-commerce platform for aquaculture, value chain, and they're doing very good in terms of the numbers they're generating. Next one. Agrograde or occipital technologies, they use optical sorter machine. They have created optical sorter machine using AI and ML, that segregates the qualitatively superior products from the rest, and therefore progressive farmers into exports or to realize higher value for their produce use these machines, and even for small farmers they have been created. Next one. Zorco is a well-known startup in the field of agri domain that are into best healthy and immunity products, again developed as a response to COVID pandemic, where health issues have become very paramount, and they are using organic and chemical free products, and developed a chain of stores in the line of fast food chains offering these kind of range of products. Next one. Again, a digital solution for water is one more startup that is offering an aggregation platform for our farmers. Orga Life, Umesh is sitting here, the founder. Umesh, can you raise your hand? So Orga Life, deals specifically with organic products, and they're also showcasing for. I request all of you to visit their stalls also. And they're D2C company, 100% pure, authentic, organic sourced directly from the farmers, and a range of jaggery-based, value-added products are being marketed and produced from the Orga Life. Next one. Doing some good numbers. Again, Fasal Bazaar is, addressing the supply chain of both the input and output management in agri and allied sector. Next one. Mahakumbh Agro, they are doing some commendable work, especially in the underprivileged areas of Orissa, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, in terms of goat rearing and providing alternative or livelihood opportunities to weaker sections of the society, including landless farmers. Next one, next one, next. Some of the achievements you can skip them, you know, uh, very quickly. Very quickly, you can skip them. Some of the modest achievements that we have been able to achieve in Ghana so far. Next one, next one. Some recognitions are mentioned here. Next one. Next one. Yes, this is Zorko. I would particularly like to draw your attention. They have been figured in the Forbes 30 under 30, leading magazine, as you are aware, as one of the 5 promising startups from India. So that's a recognition they have received. Next one. They also figured in the Shark Tank, and could you believe it that they had the audacity to decline an offer from the investors and the sharks? Their company was valued at 100 CR, and they rejected the offer for 1.5% against the stake of 1.5 CR. Next one. And the loser in this case was Boat founder. So again, I was talking about Mahakumbh Agro. They were recognized by the Honorable Prime Minister early on the 25th of February, when Honorable Prime Minister, spoke about them in a very commendable manner, and how this startup is changing as a social entrepreneur and innovator the lives of the underprivileged people in places like Kalahandi and those areas of Orissa and Chhattisgarh. Next one. Again, you can some of the glimpses of our activities and recognitions. Next one. Some pictures. Next one. Some of the activities that we carry out in our agribusiness incubation center. Some recognitions. Next one. Very quickly. Next one. अब pictures से आगे बढ़ा करो. Piyush Goyal ji visited us in the startup in the Bharat Mandapam, earlier this year. Next one. Next one. Please go ahead. We are active associate with some of our publications. Next one. Some laurels. Next one. Next one. Next one. Pictures हैं आगे बढ़ा दीजिए. Next one. Next one. अब pictures हैं. So what is the way forward? These are the few points I want to suggest from this presentation. Specifically for the students. Students can take up entrepreneurship as a definitely as one of the career options for themselves, besides seeking jobs in the comfortable confines of public sector, the private sector jobs. And most importantly, graduates should be allowed to convert their projects into entrepreneurship projects. That is where the curriculum needs to be revised. And as universities, we are also operationalizing the new education policy, which entails specifically some of these issues. And of course, we all need to come together, the stakeholders, whether we are incubators, industry, and academia, where we can talk about forging more synergies and transformational change in the agri startup domain. Next one. ठीक है. Next one. I have talked about these things, so we can quickly go ahead. Next one. Specifically, some of the areas whether it is enhancing the value chain and exports, food processing and traceability, which is very, very important factor for agri sports. Next one. Next one. So this is one model I am suggesting, and this could apply, across different states also, the hub and spoke model, where, you can have a central hub, which could be the central processing unit for the kind of expertise and products that are there in that region, and different regions, can be worked out as spokes, based on their regional strengths. So this hub and spoke model for the whole country can be generated, and on similar lines, people are talking about ODOP. Next one. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time and giving me this opportunity. I want to thank the organizers once again for letting the state of Chhattisgarh here present in terms of our department and also the university. And I thank all my startups for taking the pain to be present and showcasing. Thank you once again. Thank you.